Prime IV Delray Beach helps you feel better, look better, and perform better with IV vitamin therapy. Each of our IV drips is the equivalent of 2.5 gallons of hydration and a custom blended mix of vitamins designed to help you reach your health goals. The top complaints we address are more energy, better sleep, sports recovery, meaning less soreness when you work out, or a great boost to your immune system. Come in if you're feeling under the weather or to help stave off those nasty bugs if someone's in your house and brought them home. Use the code word SWEET, SWEET, for 20% off any IV treatment valid at the Delray Beach location only.
Hello, everybody. This is Andrea Trout, and I'm here with my co-host, Ms. Carolina Rush, a.k.a.
Spicy.
As I like to call her, Spicy Spice. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Happy to be back here. You know, one of those days that sometimes it's a rush to get here, but we made it. And we're here with a special guest who I'm super excited about. It's my trainer, Kai Evans, from the L.I.F.T Lounge here in Delray Beach, Florida. But Kai has a pretty unique background. But first, welcome, Kai.
Oh, my God. I'm feeling spicy and sweet all in one. Oh, my God.
He's like, what am I in for?
We have that effect on people.
I bet you all do.
But I've wanted to have you on here for a while because I've been training with you literally next week or 2 weeks from now. It's been 2 years.
Oh, my God.
And you guys just celebrated 2 years in May.
Correct.
So congratulations on that. It's
Thank
a big
you,
milestone.
Delray. Thank you,
Yeah.
Delray. Thank you, Delray.
It's a huge milestone in any business because a lot of them fail in the first year. So you guys are kicking ass and really creating some transformations for people. But your expertise goes beyond the L.I.F.T Lounge because not everybody's here in Delray. And that's what we kind of wanted to talk about is what you're looking at in the world of exercise fitness because there's so much changing right now in terms of information coming out. And I know a lot about it. So Carolina came up with some questions from somebody who doesn't know. So we're going to kind of like go over those.
Oh, I'm here to help, whatever I can do.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
But you've been a fitness professional for 30 years.
So I've been one of those really freakish people that, like, this is all I've ever done.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't want to be a bodybuilder. I didn't want to be a pro athlete. I didn't want to be, like, beat people up at school. Like, all I wanted to do was really coach. So when I saw, actually, when I was like 12, the Rocky training montage, I didn't want to be Rocky. I wanted to be the old guy. You know, come on, Mickey. You know, that was how I wanted to be. So I was the first kid in the neighborhood that got a bench. So I would have kids over and I'd coach them. Like, you know,
That's cool.
awesome.
Yeah. So I was infatuated with getting the best out of people. Let's be honest. That's what a coach does, right? Regardless of the medium, could be business, could be my job is to see what you're good at, find what you're weak at, and then make it merge so that you overcome everything and get all the dreams that you want.
Yeah.
So at a very young age, I was coaching, and never had any desire to be big, bad, Schwarzenegger, and any of this stuff. So then, obviously, undergrad, I started to immerse myself into exercise science. I'm obsessed with it. So I think of myself more of a scientist, like kind of like more like the Andy Galpin stuff. You know, my goal is to get my PhD as well soon. But like, I'm not a trainer. I don't think I'm a trainer. I don't know how to be a trainer. I guess you got to keep your arms like this and you got to like be really big and strong. And, you know, I'm fierce, but that's not my thing. So like, I was infatuated with human potential, just infatuated with it. Right. And so undergrad, and then when I got into grad school, it started to understand the idea that it was more about the nervous system and how the body works to evolve, to create force and how to get rid of pain as well as create higher levels of performance. And so that's when I got into the NBA and worked with those kind of guys and then opened gyms in LA and then all over and blah, 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 blah. Long story. I've been doing this for 30 years. Yeah. I would say at the highest level. I don't think it's a peak of my career, but one of the fancy things besides the magazines and the talk shows was doing Sylvester Stallone's NBC Strong, which was 10 greatest trainers in the world, 10 housewives, battle it out to see who is strong.
Right.
So when I was selected, they saw 100,000 trainers worldwide. And so to be selected the top 10,
That's awesome.
It was a huge deal. Like for me, that was 2015. That opened up a whole new brand for me as far as being a brand, a real brand versus just, you know, like someone who trained celebrities. So it gave me an opportunity to really start thinking differently. Right. And I think that's a great segue into where we are today. And the L.I.F.T Lounge itself as a brand is that the L.I.F Lounge job is to disrupt the myths of fitness and what is currently being sold to us, like the medical profession. Take a pill and maybe you'll get better. Maybe you won't. We'll numb it a little bit. Same with fitness. If you sweat, it must be working. Well, no.
Right.
And what happens is after the age of 40, there are these demons coming at you called aging.
Hormones.
And they're coming hard. And they rev up every 10 years. So you can't do what you used to do.
Yeah.
So that's when we opened L.I.F.T, the whole idea was how do we start to understand the whole process of what's coming at us. Sarcopenia, osteoporosis, cognitive dysfunction, cardiovascular disease.
Okay, so real quick, sarcopenia is muscle loss.
Muscle loss. Guys, you can't stop it. It's coming for you. It's coming for you.
But you can slow it down.
You can sure as hell slow it down.
Yeah.
Right? Osteoporosis. Ladies, you know all about this. Osteoporosis, osteopenia, right? It's all connected to muscle.
Bone health.
Yeah, bone health is connected to muscle as well. They're connected. Cognitive dysfunction, one of my biggest passions right now. I have some clients that we're working with who have Alzheimer's. It freaks me out. And then, of course, cardiovascular disease. We call these the big four. And so when we talk about the L.I.F.T Lounge, I don't talk about get a six-pack, look better naked. Yeah. Like, I don't care about that. My job is to get you to live better moment to moment and fight those four demons. And that is all the brand's about. And that's why we're servicing people between the ages of 50 to 75. That's all I care about because that's who needs us most.
Yeah.
But if you're younger watching this, if you start planning for it now, hello, savings account.
Right.
Hello, no more injuries in your 30s or 40s, no shoulder replacements, no hip replacements, no knee replacements, and you start to understand that now you can really bank this stuff. So when you are, my goal, I always say at L.I.F.T Lounge, right? The goal is when I turn to be 100, I want to move like I'm 60. What do I need to do now at 45 or 50 to make sure that happens?
Right.
And so we reversed engineered the entire process of what fitness, nutrition, mindset, and accountability looks like, and then turned it into a luxury private environment for our clients. And I'll be honestly, I'll brag a little bit. Like I've been in this business 30 years. I've had 4 gyms in LA. I've had gyms all over the world. And I've never, ever seen the progress, the results that we're getting in the shortest amount of time. Because at the end of the day, the brand's built on, the L.I.F.T Lounge is built on one simple idea. The most precious commodity, time. Because after 50, tick, 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 it revs up.
Right.
So you can't be doing the same stuff. Can't be jumping on boxes. You can't be freaking pounding your body, all this Olympic lifting, snatching, all this stuff. There's so many better ways. And we have Gabby Lyon, we have Andy Galpin, we have Jock Jaquish, we have Peter Attia. We have all these experts who are giving us these studies right now. And I'm either calling them and talking to them, or I'm pulling their ideas, creating a way that's simplistic for our clients, because at the end of the day, we want to move the needle in the most simplest way, right? It's about efficiency. Like if you have the time to go to the gym 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, be that person. My clients don't.
Yeah.
They value time.
Right.
And so 3 days a week, we're getting, the transformation. It's unheard of.
Yeah.
Because it's based in something called stimulus. When you realize weights overload joints and underload muscle, you realize you're wasting a lot of time. So how do we change that paradigm? And so L.I.F.T Lounge is all about shifting that thought process to really one simple idea, longevity.
Yeah. And that actually leads really well into your first question that you came up with.
Yeah, sort of. But first, let me make a correction real quick. So I do know a lot about working out.
No, I meant you don't know a lot about the L.I.F T Lounge like ideals.
Okay, gotcha.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes, you know a lot about working out.
Right.
I didn't mean that.
But the one thing that does frustrate me and that I've seen my whole life, just like in health with doctors and stuff, is what was effective 10 years ago, they're saying is not effective now. Or, you'll read an article, it says, this doesn't do anything for you. And then you turn the page and this gym guru or health guru is saying, yes, it does.
Right.
So that can be very conflicting. So, but one of my questions is, for somebody like me who likes variety in their workouts, like I can't run, I get bored. So I have to switch it up. So a Zumba class, yoga, Pilates, weightlifting, running, are all of those equally effective?
No.
Okay.
Straight up, no.
And can you explain which ones are more effective and why?
So it goes back to this simple idea, though. So it makes sense, right? The older you get, what's happening to your body is becoming more specific. So what you have to do now is become specific on your goals, right? So if your goal is to be a better runner and continue to run your whole life, then what do you need to do? Run. Fine. Great. Right? If your goal is to prevent sarcopenia, maintain mobility, which is joint health, which is strength, flexibility, and stability around the joint, you need to move with load because you can be hyperflexible. Yoga, right? I have most of my injuries come from either CrossFit, yoga, or Pilates. Believe it or not.
Wow.
So these brands that claim to do X are now doing Y with people in a certain age group. So coming back to the idea of specificity. If your goal is just variety and you don't want to build muscle and burn fat, you just want to be entertained variety-wise, which is some people are like that.
Right.
They want a different thing every day. They don't really care, if their body hurts or if they're building muscle or if they're losing that much fat. They just want to go somewhere exciting every day. Then that's a win. Do all that.
Right.
But if your goal is, dude, I want to build muscle, most importantly, because I know muscle is the ultimate medication for longevity. Muscle is the number one organ in the body, period. Now we're seeing this. It's for metabolic health, besides all the physical attributes and the mental attributes of it. Then yoga's not going to do it. Running's not going to do it. Zumba sure as hell is not going to do it. So you have to get into resistance work. Now, what kind? Well, there's many different kinds of resistance. That's a different discussion. But the first thing my advice would be to anybody over the age of 40 is to understand, what are you trying to accomplish? Just like in business, the riches are in the niches. If you're not specific, the way America is with these brands, it's honestly the same thing with different lights and a different name on the building, just like drugs, right? The idea is dark lights, you sweat, it's loud music, it must work. Well, no.
Right.
Like, if you don't want to be a better cyclist, why are you spinning 6 days a week?
And so
If your goal is injury prevention, if your goal is strength, if your goal is longevity, there's no need. Once a week, great, auxiliary. So we would have to define what I would say, what's an auxiliary workout, and then what is your main meal, your steak or whatever it is, your main meal, to make sure we get that goal. And so when we, at the L.I.F.T Lounge, we spend an hour fine-tuning this to make sure it's so specific, so we know exactly what we're doing to get you where you want to go.
Right.
Remember, guys, just because everything's hard doesn't mean it's working.
Right.
I sweat when I eat a burrito with hot sauce. I'm not getting fit. Like, hate to break it to you, I'm actually getting heavier, right? I'm eating a disgusting burrito, right? So let's take away all this idea. So the first thing I would do with anyone in the country is go, what are you trying to accomplish?
And so, I want to jump on that, because what I know you say all the time is, when you're 75, you want to be able to lift the suitcase overhead into the compartment bin. You want to be able to bend down and pick up your dog or your grandkid or your great-grandkid. So that's what you kind of mean by specificity.
Yep.
Like you're saying, if you're 75 and you're an elite cyclist and you're competing at that, then cycle.
And
Still weight train. You need weight training no matter what.
So let's not use weights, because to me, weights is a very one-dimensional, because weights cause a lot of damage.
Okay.
And if you talk to the best doctors in the world, they'll tell you not to. Yeah, they'll tell you not to lift weights because the stimulus is so limited. Because as you get older, the amount of weight you have to lift to stimulate the muscle and the nervous system is so heavy that you'll hurt your joints. And the number one cause of people furthering pain, suffering, loss of muscle is they get hurt in their 50s and they don't want to do it again. They're scared.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do Zumba. If I'm a guy who needs muscle, but I got hurt, I'm not going to lift again, I'm going to do Zumba, you're furthering sarcopenia. You're furthering joint pain. You're furthering this. It's fun. It's a craze, but it's just not stimulating. The bottom line is, as you lose muscle, bone density, your brain function, all these things, if you're not doing massive stimulant to change that, you're doing things to further it. The body doesn't kind of hang. It either goes forward or back. Period.
Right.
You're either building muscle or you're losing it. Hate to break it to y'all.
Or slowing it down. You're slowing it way down.
So we use the word prevention.
Yeah.
Right? I can't stop it. I can't stop death.
Right.
I mean, Dave Asprey's like, I'm going to be 180. That guy's caught his mind. Like,
Do you know who that is?
Yeah. If he can, Dave, I will be the first guy at your house from heaven, because I'll be long and dead.
I know. I was like, well, I'll be dead, but he'll be alive.
But, that's the thing. So let me give you another idea. So if the listeners out there, if variety is their thing, like I always say, variety is the death of progress. But if you're into variety, then my job would be, how do I give you variety to satisfy you? Well, our sessions has a lot of variety, but it has very specific purpose. Right? So when you come in, it's not just come sweat, we don't wear mics, it's like a speakeasy feel, right? And every class starts like a podcast. We're doing A, B, and C so that you get D, E, and F. So we're empowering you. Like, I hate the word inspiration because inspiration, you hear music and you feel something and then the song's over and it's gone.
Right.
Or motivation. I have an idea. I'm going to start a company. And then after you start to work on that idea, you lose interest and it's gone.
Because it becomes work.
Yes, work.
It does.
Empowerment is when I give you the knowledge and you have that, you can never lose it.
Right.
Now you have a skill and you've learned something and now we apply that and it becomes exciting. So my coaches, it's like a podcast for 45 minutes. There's light music, there's music, but it's not loud, there's no mic, it's not dark. And we are literally giving you anti-aging lectures every time you come. But the best part is, it's like this. You're communicating, you're part of the conversation pit. But we're stimulating you in such a way that you have the reason. So usually when you have a reason to do something, you don't really care about variety. You start to realize that if this is the best thing to do, because we're all hyper intelligent, then frick my variety. If this is, excuse my French, if this is working, I'm going to keep doing this, right? So not to be rude about the idea of variety, but all you people that need variety don't know what you want. And when you understand what you want, aren't you hyper focused? Usually, 100% of the time, pretty much.
And I can see where it's been like told that you can have variety because, like you're saying, there's all these different ideas out there in the world about exercise, and everybody's like, it's okay to switch it up, right? So I know we talked about this recently, like with the yoga, that's as ancillary.
Correct. Yeah.
So you can do the strength training.
I love it. So
you can do Zumba as ancillary. You can do the yoga, whatever those other ones are, to get your variety. But the point is, you have to strength train for the anti-aging / longevity. The brain health, all of it.
So that's the thing, guys. So so now that we kind of cleared that up a little bit. So listen, do yoga, spin, do your boxing. If you like your boot camp HIIT stuff, there was just a study comparing steady state to HIIT, and the amount of gain between steady state and HIIT was so like 0.009. It was so minimal that there's this idea of HIIT's so better, so much better, so much better. Actually, it's not. So if you look at the science, not opinions, not gurus, if you look at the actual data that's coming out, I love Lane Norton to another one. It's just all about data. It's like, it's here it is. It's right in front of you. Like, this is just what it is. So let's say I'm building a program for you and you're like, I don't care. I'll pay you $1 gazillion, but I need variety. Great. Okay. I'm not going to say no to the $1 gazillion. I'm going to be like, all right, baby, I'll take the money and let's figure it out. So then I would say, okay, are you interested in preventing sarcopenia? I hope you say yes. Are you interested in preventing osteoporosis? I hope you say yes. Cognitive dysfunction? I hope you say yes. And obviously cardiovascular disease, we want to slow that down? Yes. So if you check those boxes, so now I know there needs to be some sort of resistance work that's going to really trigger the growth reflex in the muscle so that we build muscle, right? Hypertrophy, you know the word, you experience. So hypertrophy. So Zumba ain't going to do it, but you can do that on your days off. Cycling ain't going to do it, but you can do that on your days off, right?
Right.
So then we go, okay, you need 2 to 3 days a week of some sort of resistance stimulus, right? It can be weights. It can be variable resistance, which can be a lot of things. It can be even body weight to an extent, but actually your body adapts to it pretty quickly, so it's not really that great of a muscle building stimulus. And so once you find out kind of what your resistance stimulus is going to be, it can be hammer strength machines. Those kind of things are a good stimulus, right? So, once you figure out what it is that you can do continuously, we need 2 to 3 times a week, depending on, your variability. Because at the end of the day, what's the greatest workout in the world?
The one you'll do.
Yeah. What's the greatest nutrition plan in the world?
The one you'll do.
Duh. So I'm not going to give you some well, this is called keto Miami Beach, blah, blah, blah. And here's the deal. So once we figured that out, then we sprinkle in the things that you want to do. And for you, I would say, okay, guess what? Every week we're changing up your auxiliary. Your lifts are going to be the same because these are the most efficient compound lifts to build muscle, help mobility, heal joints, increase core strength, these kind of things. Then, okay, 1 week, guess what? We're spinning. Everyone, period, end of story, needs to do some sort of resistance work. Now, you could say, well, Pilates is resistance. First of all, you'd have to unpack the whole purpose of Pilates, which is for injured dancers. That's why it's called a bed. You're lying down. So unless you want to kind of forecast where you're going to be when you're dead, you're lying down. Why are you lying down as your main training? You should probably, again, auxiliary. Great auxiliary. Great for small muscle in the core. I get all that. If you have a bad back or something, great. But eventually, you need to be up on your feet because that's what you're trying to continue to do, right? When
that's
you get
the
older.
goal.
Yeah, it's the goal.
The specific goal.
Lying down, if your main source is lying on your back, you're kind of moving toward that anyways. So we want to get you up.
I didn't know that it was a recovery for ballet, and you have a background in ballet.
Yeah, so I'm obsessed with Mikhail Baryshnikov. Right, I was obsessed with someone who could be that thin. That's, again, nervous
And
system.
strong.
That powerful.
Yeah.
Right? I'm obsessed with power.
Power.
And I think power is all about force. And force creates muscle. Right? You don't need big muscles like Bruce Lee's another one.
I would say Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee was the first. Everybody say, what's the most important fitness book you ever read? Bruce Lee's. That's what changed my life. Not like Joe Weider, not Arthur Jones, not all the. I've read all the Bruce Lee, because he understood the importance of being lean, being mobile, but also being powerful. And I think that's the new body type that's coming now, and that's what we make at L.I.F.T Lounge.
Yeah.
Like we don't make the beefy, big. Those guys want to lose that weight, because at the end of the day, remember, load is load. If you have a bunch of muscle, but you're 250 pounds, that's still a lot of weight on your joints. It's 4X. Yeah. So you'll see, that's why when you see football players retire, they're half the size. Why do you think that is? It hurts carrying all that load.
Yeah.
It hurts. Like, and people are like, well, more muscle should make you move better. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So, you just look in the world. Look at the world. There's a reason why the best athletes in the world, NFL players, are half their size when they retire.
Yeah.
Because it hurts.
And it's hard to keep it up. It's
Why
hard
would
to maintain.
You? You're not getting paid $1 gazillion a year now, so let it go.
Yeah.
Right? So, the answer is longevity is really becoming about muscle to fat ratio, not bigger is better. Bigger is better. The 80s idea, bigger is better.
Yeah.
Right? No, it's really about not having pain and having a lot of ability to apply a lot of force and move. Right? And really just make sure that you're constantly stimulating your body forward versus backward, because that's where it's going.
Yeah.
Right?
So
that's my 2 cents on that.
Your 2 cents.
Sorry.
It's okay. What's your next one? Is that like making sense to you?
Yeah, of course. A lot of these questions I asked, not because they're not for me.
Yeah.
I just had to come up with questions.
No, it's
That's
good.
Cool.
So this is a 2-part question, kind of. Is it true with regard to cardio, such as walking or running, anything after 25 minutes is really a waste of time? And part 2 is, I have always heard cardio is the best for abs, and that crunches and sit-ups are actually very ineffective.
Okay. Ooh, I can really unpack that one. Okay. So let's go back to if our goal is prevention of cardiovascular disease, right? Heart health, lung health, all that good stuff. Okay. If that's our goal, then the first part of that anything over 25 minutes is a complete lie. That's a complete myth. The science 100% shows you need 3 sessions a week. This is very important. This is not me. This is Dr. Peter T. and many others saying this. You need 3 sessions a week at 45 minutes at zone 2, which is
VO2 max.
No, zone 2.
Oh, zone 2.
I'll get into VO2 max next. So zone 2. And zone 2 is basically you need to go for 45 minutes, and it should be like a little above a conversation. Like you should be able to have a conversation, but it's a little bit hard if you don't have a watch and guide and monitor and whatnot. So that right there debunks the 25-minute thing. Okay? So everyone needs to do brisk walking for 45 minutes 3 times a week minimum if you want to maintain cardiovascular health. This is no longer an opinion. This is now a fact.
Right.
Okay? So now, I'm assuming that that stat about anything over 25 minutes doesn't work. Then you could also argue well, then why do bodybuilders do 2 hours a day for the last 50 years?
Of straight cardio?
Yeah, they go hour in the morning, they lift weights all day, and then they go back an hour at night, especially when they're show prepping. So, again, cardio is, if your goal is longevity and muscle, cardio is the worst thing you can do. So, for example, if you can train for 45 minutes with resistance work and get your heart rate over 120, you're checking the box. You're checking 2 boxes now. See, I'm all about checking boxes. So how do I get the most bang for my buck?
Inefficiency.
Yeah, efficiency.
Yeah.
The brands, when you realize how inefficient 99.9% of the fitness brands are in America, you realize you've been taking the pill, the blue pill, right? So if your goal is efficiency, which is L.I.F.T Lounge, pulling as many boxes as we can or bars as we can, then I like to get my zone 2, and we do this at the lounge, because we have our customized equipment, we can get you in zone 2 every session, plus muscle endurance, plus peak force, max strength, hypertrophy work every session. Now, if we don't have Lift Lounge, then you would have to ask me to create something for you in the gym. And one day you'd have to do zone 2 after your weight training. One day you'd have to go max strength, weight training, and then zone 2. One day you'd have to do hypertrophy work. Then I would do zone 2. And then the other 2 days, because you'd have to go every day now because you're working weights, would be based on VO2. Now, the number one indicator for longevity, this is not my opinion, is peak force and muscle. The number 2, the close second for gauging longevity, VO2 max, right? And in the simple terms, it's just your ability to take in oxygen, right?
Right.
And that's really, we can get into the science behind it, but why? The simple is we want to get that heart rate as high as we can. And the simplest way to do it, if you don't have a lab with the mask and the treadmill and all this stuff, or an airdyne bike, we want to go so hard.
The fancy stuff.
You want to poop your butt. No, it's awful. It's awful. VO2 max training is awful. It's a simple 4-4 formula. You go 4 minutes as hard as you can. You rest 4 minutes. You do it 4 times. And that has been proven to increase your VO2 max. And I like that twice a week. Okay?
So it's like 32 minutes. Am I doing that math right?
Yeah, So and you don't need this insanity here. You don't need it up to 2. You're not an elite athlete. We just need to get that heart rate. If 120 is the number one thing to move the cardiovascular health, zone 2, we just need to get that heart rate up as high as you can. That feels comfortable. Let's be real. Don't do the formula and then be like, I can't get it to 180. I'll drop dead. Of course, you're 68 years old. We just need to get it up to maybe 140 twice a week. And that's how we also in the Lift Lounge, we do it through the muscular system.
Yeah.
So we're not pounding the joints. We're not jumping up boxes. We're literally doing it with Tabatas, which is another great form of getting your VO2 max up. It's actually been proven, right? Tabata is a great way to increase your VO2 max. The problem with typical Tabatas in the CrossFit world or the boot camp world is you're jumping on boxes, you're pounding barbells over your head as fast as you can, and you're sacrificing your joints.
What's it stand for?
Tabata?
Yeah.
No, it's the actual doctor.
Oh,
Dr.
that's right.
Tabata was a Japanese.
I was thinking of something else.
No, Dr. Tabata was a Japanese strength coach for the speed skating team.
It's just like rounds.
Yeah.
The rounds.
The round. That's AMRAP. That's a CrossFit term.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of, AMRAP.
Yeah,
as many rounds as possible.
Yeah, if you would have asked me, like, what's probably the closest thing, in my opinion, to checking all the boxes, would it be a CrossFit style of workout? But the problem is the risk is too high.
Because of joints, really?
Yeah, and the skill set.
Injury.
I'm not going to go take a 6-year-old and go, okay, today you're going to learn to snatch. Like, hell no.
Yeah.
It takes 20 years to snatch right. So I love CrossFit for what it is, but for longevity, the risk is too high. So the idea was with L.I.F.T to go, what is going to check as many boxes 2 to 3 times a week of those 4 things, prevention, and then what's going to be the lowest possible risk for the highest possible reward. Who doesn't like low risk, high reward? If I said, give me a penny now, we'll sell for 20 million later, would you give me a penny?
Right.
I would hope so, right? Yeah.
How many can I give you?
And the biggest problem with fitness is either it's the ones that work are high risk, high reward, and everything else is very high risk, medium reward. Like boot camps, you're pounding, you're jumping, you're going from station to station. It's straight chaos, right? Unless you're going in the Army. I don't know why you're doing a boot camp workout. But hey, I love the military, shout out. But let's be honest, I'm 52 years old. I'm not going to try to train to be a Navy SEAL.
Right.
That's not in me.
I have
friends that I love David Goggins. But yeah. So again, it goes back to specificity. So to answer your question, you need 3 days a week, 45 minutes. So yes, that's a no on the 25 minutes. That's an absolute myth. And you need to be doing 45 minutes of brisk walking minimum with your dog to maintain that zone 2. And then if you can, try to work in those 4 minutes of fast walking and then go slow for 4. And then, get that little bit of an interval so we can get that heart rate.
So fast walking's fine. It's just getting that heart rate up as high as you can.
You just need it up as high as you can. Work within you.
Yeah.
Like stop worrying about these Instagram people. Like,
and
it's ridiculous.
work within you of where somebody is right now.
Yes. Yeah, like I have people who are on heart medication. We're getting them off there, which is amazing. But I'm not going to push them to the point where they have to get out the freaking AED machine.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right.
So you just need to bump it up twice a week, right? And Atia lays this out even more than I can, much better. He's a much smarter guy than I. But the idea was I worked that in the Lift Lounge. So you're getting it, again, every time you come in. You don't got to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then the other was a question about the ab thing. Okay, so the ab thing, the abs. Oh, God, the abs.
I mean, it's true. We all want to look good naked, even if it's not the point.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say. I go, I hope you don't get mad at me if I give you abs. because we give everybody abs, but we do. I'm sorry you got more lines in your body than you never had before, but that wasn't my goal. I want to prevent sarcopenia. So the idea is, guys, you know the drill, you know the word. The abs are made in the kitchen, and calorie deficit makes abs. Period. End of story.
And protein?
That's another discussion. Protein is the longevity drug. That's the one longevity drug. But at the end of the day, like, come on, man, just get in a deficit. Listen to Lane Norton. He's way smarter than me. He'll tell you all these greats. Like, sit-ups won't do it. Sit-ups all will do is tighten up your hips and fuck your back. Excuse my French.
You can cuss on.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
We could.
Yeah. Sit-ups we don't even do sit-ups because I think sit-ups are if you're going to get time, it's the worst thing. Because most of our clients are entrepreneurs who sat their whole life. So now I'm going to sit you down and compress your spine and have you roll on your back. That's ridiculous. Stupid.
So what's the best exercise if you don't have a machine like L.I.F.T, like the ab roller?
Listen, yeah, so I love the ab wheel. That's a good one.
The ab wheel, do you know what that is? Yeah, we do that on the machine.
Yep.
And he's always like, it's like the ab wheel.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It is so hard.
It's hard.
And then you can add weight to ours.
We eccentric training, which is another idea, another discussion about how do we build muscle the fastest, most efficient. You need to be loading in the eccentric. So the lifting phase of any lift is a waste of time. That's your concentric phase. So that's a whole nother discussion. But I want
to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because the best way for somebody to do that in the gym without the machine that you've created is really bands.
Okay, let's talk about CRT, which is constant resistance training. That's weights, dead weight, static weight, right? So if you're going to work in the weights, then you must do a 2-4 ratio, meaning you're going to do the lifting phase, the concentric phase, a 2 count, and then a very slow 4 count.
So if I'm lifting something up
for 2,
1, 2,
hold for 1, and then
down
2,
for 4.
3. Be that person that looks weird at the gym.
Yeah.
And you will build more muscle and more strength. And this has been proven by Arthur Jones, who was the inventor of Nautilus, Mike Metzer. This is way back before my time, was arguably the greatest exercise science mind, top 5 ever. They realized that the weakest part of any contraction is your lift. And yet that's what all fitness
Everybody
is.
does.
Lift, next station, faster. Next station, faster. And you wonder why your joints hurt and you're not building muscle. So if I was coaching you at the gym like I used to, because my background's weights, like all my degrees are in weights. So we understood that it's the lowering phase or the negative, you hear this term, or the eccentric phase, the key. So if all you have is weight training, don't give that up. Do it, girl. Do it, dude. Just remember, it can change the way you lift that weight. It'll change the way it affects the stimulus on your muscle, and it'll help muscle grow. Now, if you have the option to understand variable resistance, now the problem with typical bands is they're not heavy enough. You need to get, like the bands that I usually work with are up to 600 pounds. Because here's the thing you need to understand in the physiology is that, and this has been proven scientifically, you are 7 times stronger in the extended position than you are in the flexed position, right? 7 times. So if you work with weights, the weights doesn't adjust to you, right? So then you're always loading from your weakest zone. Because if you're 700 pounds here and 100 pounds here, if I put 700 pounds on a static weight, guess what? My shoulder's ripping off my back.
Right.
How many bros have their chest torn, their bicep blown? Let's be honest. So with variable resistance, heavy resistance, it's hard to find these kind of bands. You have to actually order them online. Dr. Jakish, right? He has them. So now we know that you can actually increase your force production 7x here, and then you can maintain joint health here because it goes to 0.
So 7x here, if you're not watching this on video, is the fully extended part if your arm's out versus pulling it back. It's 7 times weaker when it's pulled up.
Correct. Just like same with a squat. Where do most injuries occur? The bottom part of the squat.
Yeah.
Not the top part.
Right.
But you always have to be careful with the load because the load. Now you're seeing weight guys put chains, right, and some bands. But here's the problem with the chains: it's still static, right? They're links, but they're static. There's no variance. If you get latex bands in particular, that's what we use that's what Jaquise has and what we use in the NCAA. Now we have a much more variance in that range of motion, so you're maximizing time under tension, variable resistance at the same time. So you're getting hypertrophy, max strength, and muscle endurance in every exercise like we do at the Lift Lounge.
And hypertrophy is?
Basically, you're tearing the muscle to build muscle.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's another phenomenon called hyperplasia, which instead of enlarging the muscle cell, we split the cell and make more fibers. Now, that's next level. That's my next focus for us, is how do we create hyperplasia?
Yeah.
And that's, Jaquise talks about this in his book, and it's really an interesting phenomenon, especially as we age. We want to build as many fibers as we can, right? Because we're losing them.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. But the idea is, if you have weights, do a 2-1-4, like concentric 2, 1 isometric, and a 4 eccentric. You're always stronger in the isometric and the eccentric. So basically, if you don't know what you're doing, you've spent your life underloading the strongest part of your human body. And that's just it's truth. So when you start to change the way you understand lift weights, you'll start to change your body quite more efficiently. Then you get on the treadmill, walk for 45 minutes 3 times a week. If you're going to Planet Fitness or something, and you're really kind of checking every box. Right. And then you do, then we also got to do balance work for our brain, proprioception work. Right. So we got to be up on something and start to deal with stuff. So
does like a BOSU ball or BOSU work
great.
for that?
BOSU's great. Here's where you go. Okay, Pilates day. I'm gonna go balance and work my core. Great. Check the box. Right. Then you go. Okay, now I'm gonna do my VO2 on a bike. I'm going to go sprints. They do them in the... Now I'm checking that box. So that's where your variety comes in. But if you don't have the main course, your variety's killing you.
Right.
It's killing you.
Yeah.
And you have to lift heavy, guys. Like, I'm not talking like 1 rep max, bro. But I'm talking like you got to stimulate the muscle.
Yeah.
Meaning like the 2-pound dumbbells, ladies, in the bar classes, not working.
So speaking of that, is it true that if you want to bulk up, you are doing heavier weights, lower reps, and if you want to get lean and cut, you're doing lower weights and more reps?
So, first of all, it's so weird not being able to look at you. Okay, but I know you have a nice smile. Okay, so
you can pull the mic over that way.
Yeah. So okay, first of all, no, it's not true. Bulk comes from one thing: food.
Excess calories.
Excess. Period. I don't know one bodybuilder, professional, that doesn't eat like 5,000 to 10,000 calories a day. If he lifted the same amount and ate 1,000 calories a day, he would have half the muscle. I mean, if he's not using steroids, right? So if he's natural, or him or her. So that's the most important thing, is we have to separate. Gabby Lyon talks about this brilliantly. Heavy lifting doesn't build bulk. Look at her physique. Look at me.
Yeah.
I'm extremely strong for a 9%, 5'8", 52-year-old man. I don't have much muscle because I eat a very specific caloric intake consistently. Mm-hmm. So again, if your goal is bulking, then we got to jack up that, like you said, we got to give you a surplus. If your goal is strength, longevity, body composition, then we're either maintaining or in a deficit. And so, yes, the bulking myth from heavy lifting is a complete lie, because I can move a lot of weight and, I'm not bulky. So that is the biggest myth. Women especially, I'm going to say it again, you need to lift heavy for the hormone benefits, for the joint benefits, osteoporosis, osteopenia benefits, sarcopenia benefits, the depression benefits. Like there was a study that came out about exercising and what it does to the brain, just for positivity and mind frame. Huge. And not to mention, it's fun to let it out. Like, it's cute to do the Zumba and shift and shake, and I get it. Like, I met Beto actually in Miami, the guy who created it. Great guy, great gym. But at the end of the day, if you're not under load or moving load, pulling or pushing, that's all you got to remember. How do I program? Don't do the bro split by tries. Push, pull, functional thinking. One day you do pushing movements. One day you do pulling movements. Maybe you add in some rotation. Guess what? Now you're functional.
Yeah.
Okay, and then another question about lifting weights is... Should you start at, let's say you do 15 reps at 10 pounds?
Mm-hmm. Which is heavy-ish for somebody.
Yeah, sure, of course.
But then you're supposed to go to a higher weight and you push as many reps as you can, and then higher weight and you go as many reps as you can, even if you're going down in reps, but you're going up in weight.
Okay. So yes and no. So what the phenomenon you're talking about is something called progressive overload. This is my problem with a lot of boot camp style training, because it's all about conditioning. Let's be honest. These boot camp classes that go from station to station, the end result is conditioning.
Yeah.
You're not lifting enough to really stimulate the muscle. It's all about speed
to build
and time.
muscle.
Yes. And actually help the joints and all that kind of stuff. So progressive overload, especially as we age, is the most important thing. Okay? So we have to be progressively overloading the body in some form. Adding weight is just one. You can add more reps. That's a progressive overload. You can change the resting time. That's a progressive overload. You can change the order of movements. That's a progressive overload. Okay. You can change the tempo of that lift. That's a progressive overload. So my advice to you is, the old way of thinking, which is just add more weight, you're also adding in more possible risk, right? So what I would do is I would start with the weight, and let's say your coach recommends 12 to 15 reps. I like that rep range. I just like that one as a good standard. And that means by the time you get to 13, you are pushing hard.
But you're not supposed to stay at the same weight for each set,
Well,
correct?
it doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter.
No. So the idea is if you're hitting, I'm talking, let's talk about just one session. We're not talking about the next week.
Okay,
so
right.
one session, all right, let's say you do a warm-up set, because I don't believe in getting on a rower or a bike or a Stairmaster as your warm-up. You're going to do strength training. So I believe Mike
As a
Metzler-
warm-up.
Yeah, that's right. We go in and we turn the body on.
Yeah.
I don't walk, because how is Stairmaster going to help me bench press better? It's not. So why would you do that? Save your energy in your cells and in your nervous system to push as much weight as you can.
Yeah, makes
right?
sense.
Yeah. So I like to do some kind of core, bird dog, this kind of stuff, and then I go right under the bar and I do just the bar. Controlled, super slow. 15 reps. Now my nervous system has learned the pattern. I know what I'm about to do, and then I go right for it. So let's say we're doing 15 pounds, okay? And the set range is 12 to 15. Mm-hmm. So if you get to 15 and it was easy, then you should go up the next time.
Right.
If you get to 12 and you're working hard, and by 15 you're like, that's a good range. The next 3 or 4 sets, that's what you're doing. You're not changing the weight,
Right.
okay? Because probably most likely by the time you get to the 4th set, you may be getting 10.
But then the following week, you try to go up in weight.
Or you do the same weight, and by the 3rd or 4th set, you try to get 15 reps.
Okay.
Because you maybe only did 10.
Right. Okay.
Because it's heavy. Listen, that first set out, you're nailing it, right? And then the
Right.
second set, fatigue hits in.
Right.
And then it also depends on your rest. Are you resting a minute for more of a cardio benefit? Are you resting 3 minutes to 5 for more strength work? Again, it depends on what. Again, it goes back to the simple idea of specificity. What are we trying to accomplish? And there's no one size fits all. If I can give you a blanket idea, three workouts a week. I like 3 to 4 sets. I like anywhere between a minute and 2 minutes of rest, depending on what you're doing on an average. If we're just going to go general fitness, physical preparedness, GPP. And then I like, I'm a big, as you know, at L.I.F.T, variable guy.
Yeah.
I'm always changing variables. I don't change exercises because if this is the best exercise for your legs, why do you need variety? It's
Like
the
we
best.
do a lot of split squats.
Split
which
squats.
are terrible.
Because scientifically, they are the number one exercise to increase IGF-1.
And they're terrible.
We all want that anti-aging naturally,
I do.
right?
Right.
I just had a guy do his blood work, and his testosterone was 600. He was 66 years old. His doctor called me up and said, what the? I go, we work the legs 3 days a week. There's no
And
leg
split
day.
squats.
Every day's a leg day at L.I.F.T.
Every day.
Yeah, because the legs are the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to hit your legs every day.
Yeah. Which
And
makes sense. They're like the biggest muscles, really, right?
So there's a study done by Dr. Tommy Wood, and he's one of the top neuroscientists on the planet, and he discovered that leg strength equates to cognitive health. You don't think I'm going to make people do legs like there's no tomorrow every time they walk into my place? Because I'm not loading their spine. There's no barbell on their back. I'm not impacting their knees or their ankle. So I can load those legs really, really well, and it's all eccentrically. So we're maximizing the posterior chain back of your leg. We're maximizing joint health, and we're maximizing hypertrophy, and we're keeping the joints healthy. So leg day is part of the progression. So I don't believe in body part splits. We do full body splits. And if you understand longevity, you want to maximize force from the hands to your feet. That's what strength is, right? If you really want to understand strength. For functional strength, it's like the ability to apply force from your feet to your hands without leakages. That's how we define it at L.I.F.T, right? And then you apply that strength against an external variable. Right? That's strength, right? So that's the definition. We're very clear on that here at the L.I.F.T. So then I got to make sure that you can transfer force. Otherwise, you're weak. You may be able to curl 5,000 pounds of bicep curl, but it doesn't help you in life. Right? How's that going to help me? Well, I love when my 1 rep my bench is 750. Yeah, bro, but you can't move. You can't, you're out of breath. How's that going to help you live better at 70?
Yeah.
It's not. So to finish that question, progressive overload can be a lot of different ways. So don't get caught up on adding more, because then what happens is you add more, you get hurt, or you got a kink in your neck, and then I'm like, oh, that was too heavy, right? So do the heavy thing. Let's say eventually in a month, you're doing all 15 reps at that weight. You're finishing it.
Right.
But then the next time you're going to keep that weight, but now you're going to go to 20 reps. See what happens?
Right.
You're progressive overloading. Now, instead of a 2-minute rest, you're doing a minute. And then maybe you check all those boxes. Then the next time you add more weight. Because this way, you're giving yourself a lot more stimulus with a lot less risk. Because
Right.
you may get to a point where you need a spotter. You don't have one. Guess what? Barbell falls on your face.
And you get hurt.
Then you never come back. So guys, don't get caught up on, yes, is that the quickest way to get more overload? Add more weight? Yes, but every time you add more weight, you're entering the demon into your workout.
More
Injury,
risk. Yeah.
fear,
Right.
I need help with this spotter. So why not check the box of less rest, change the order, more reps, and more weight. And then after those 4 variables are checked and you've mastered that weight, add 2 more pounds.
Right.
And do it all over again.
Or
Right.
change the timing, you said.
Yeah, or change the timing. Yeah. If you want variety, I just gave you 5 different ways to do what's called progressive overload.
Yeah.
You have to do progressive overload. Let me say it again. Progressive overload. Because you are progressively getting weaker.
Yeah.
So you need to do progressive overload.
And believe it or not, we're almost out of time.
What?
It goes fast. I
Yeah.
know, it goes fast. So
We'll have to do part 2.
I know the amount of information in your head really is amazing because it is so concentrated in this one area. Because, like you said, it's what you've been doing for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
But I want you to leave people with high level because again, we're almost out of time. Talk about a little bit about what nutrition recommendations are.
So at the L.I.F.T Lounge, we do what's called the longevity nutrition protocol. Again, it has to be about longevity. So how would you define longevity? First and foremost, we got to get rid of the inflammation and bloating. Inflammation we know causes a lot of damage, and it comes from the gut. So first thing we do is we pull out the inflammation, we get rid of the bloating, and we heal the gut. It's about an 8-week process. The second part is protein-centric. Guys, if you're not eating enough protein, 1 gram per pound of body weight, that's the easiest way to think about it, or 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight if your goal is weight loss.
Yeah.
You gotta be hitting that number, and we both are in love with Perfect Aminos. Let's give them a plug.
I know.
It's the only fasting protein in the market that keeps you fasted if you're into fasting and feeds the muscle, I think with 98%, 99%, something crazy, right?
99.
In 20 minutes. So that is the best hack on the market as of today. So the second phase is muscle and fat loss. And then we keep you there until you hit your number. Because everyone has a number in their mind,
Right.
And we want to make sure you get that, and then we look at it and we test again. We're always testing 6 to 8 weeks. We have a lot of different ways of testing you, and we're adding even more. And that's how we guarantee results because you're constantly being tested every 6 to 8 weeks. Now you're not guessing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of really specialized equipment that tests, and it's really cool. And then the third one is recovery, because what happens after you lose the weight? You usually put it back on. So then we spend time teaching you how to maintain that longevity nutrition lifestyle. And that's really why we've had such success with our nutrition program versus the typical model is you go to a nutritionist, they weigh you, they pinch you with the calipers, they give you a menu to eat this, and they go away. And then you come back 2 weeks later and you go, I don't like any of this on this menu. Okay, eat this. Right. And you get pissed. And you're doing macros. We don't teach macros till like literally, I think it's like 8, 12 weeks into it. No macros at all.
I will say macros help me. And
Of course.
I was like shocked by that because it's when I did their Slim Possible challenge in January for 8 weeks. And I've always been like, oh, I don't like to track calories, blah, blah, blah. But when I did, I was like, oh, it's so enlightening of how much like you're eating in terms of protein, fat, or carbs. And especially for me being vegetarian, that's like perfect aminos. And I had to switch up what I was eating for protein.
Right.
So it is helpful if somebody doesn't have that like sense of what they're getting. It's super helpful.
And but the way we do it though is when you're dealing with high-powered executives and entrepreneurs, right? If you tell them right away what to do, they're going to tell you whatever.
Yeah.
So
Screw off.
we keep it so simple so that we're building the habits and they're getting the wins in a very simplistic way and efficient. And then what happens when it starts working? Don't you crave more? So then by the time they beg us for the macros. Because I'll be like, no, not yet. Okay. Lost another 5 pounds. Not yet. Okay, another 5 pounds. Next thing you know, 8 weeks in, they're down 20, 25 pounds. Now they're like, give me the macros. I'm like, okay, you're ready.
Right.
So it's I had a lot of, when I work with professional athletes, we really were taught a lot of sports psychology. So how do when you're dealing with high-powered individuals, you got to understand their psychology. So if you don't understand their psychology and their lifestyle, that's why the typical nutrition model doesn't work because they're like, I can A, buy and sell this building. B, like, I'm not going to weigh because I'm busy. And C, like, who are you to tell me what to eat? I know what to eat. I eat clean, a favorite term, right? So we start showing them by them taking pictures of what they're eating and then them presenting it. They go, wow. Yeah, that's a lot of food. Or, oh, wow, right? And then we coordinate it with testing. And so by the end of the first 6 weeks, their bloating's gone, the inflammation's gone. They've actually visualized what they're seeing It equates to a sensation and feeling and then a number on the scale. So there's all these markers changing their psychology around food.
Yeah.
When you realize food is medicine,
It
you
is.
realize you're really missing the boat. And let me see, again, back to the app thing. If you want to heal your body, and like exercise is for anti-aging, but food is for medicine.
Yeah.
So if you want to heal your body, you got to change the way you eat. And if you want to live longer, you got to be under load. Period. End of story. And most importantly, I'll leave you with this thought, and we said this last time. If you're not focused on what you want in anything in life, you won't get it.
Have a goal.
You got to have a goal.
Yeah.
If it's not longevity, like I have one of my coaches just won her first Ironman world.
I saw
She's
that.
one of the best in the world, and she just won it. And so when we were training her, we made sure that was focused on her running,
Yeah.
her swimming. I wasn't doing half the stuff when I was doing with the longevity people because we had a specific goal.
It changes.
And what's really cool is I've never seen an endurance athlete put muscle on. And our equipment's doing that. And someone that does 70.4 miles or whatever an Ironman thing is. So the efficiency of what we're doing is unheard of. And it's really exciting. If you're in Delray, come see us at the L.I.F.T Lounge. But that's kind of the nutrition point. If you can't remember anything, heal your gut, eat more protein than you can handle, and then make sure, the most important, what is the ultimate anti-aging drug? And it's kind of free. It's called sleep. Maybe you heard of it.
What is that actually?
Yeah,
I know,
exactly.
really.
So
That's one of my
if you
problems
don't want
right
to
now.
spend the money at the L.I.F.T Lounge, I'll give you a simple advice. Buy Perfect Aminos for $50. Go ahead and sleep, right? And then lift something heavy,
Yeah.
right? Over and over again.
Yeah.
And then walk.
So
Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, so you could be found at the liftlounge.com.
No.
The liftlounge.vip.
.vip.
.vip, okay.
Yeah.
And you're on Federal just north of Carmela?
Yes. We're right next to the Chevron station.
Right, okay.
Yep. And we just expanded. So Delray's been so good to us that we took the space next door. And
They have a lounge now.
we have a actual real lounge.
They had a
Wow.
lounge before that was
Yep.
small in the corner. Now they have a
Yep.
whole
I
space.
know, we did their ribbon cutting.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did not remember. Yeah, it was awesome. And then
Yeah.
it came back to And then also too, our next generation of equipment is coming, and you're going to see nothing like this.
And the thing that people don't get is that you're designing it all with
Correct.
an engineer. It's
Yep.
your design,
Yep.
which is super unique.
Which is based on not bodybuilders, which is based on
Your
longevity.
lab rat's me
Yep.
and all my fellow
Yep. So what's-
victims in the lab
that's what's,
every day.
that is what's so special is I'm literally
It's amazing.
every 2 months I call my engineer and say, this is what's happening with the
Yeah.
clients, move this here, move that there. And that's how specific we are. The equipment is going to be, when it's done, it's going to be designed to do one thing, help you live better,
Yeah.
longer.
Which is their tagline.
Hashtag.
I know. And I do like it. I have to go back to this, but it was long ago, it was Hippocrates that said, let medicine be thy food and food thy medicine.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I mean, it's that old. Like, it's
Yeah.
amazing. And we've lost it. They've just fucked with our food. It gets me so angry anyway.
No, it is, and yeah, we can go all day on that.
We
Like
could.
it's just so crazy. And I love, if you're vegan, we love you. We can work with vegans.
It's making fun of me, even though I'm not vegan, but vegetarian.
Vegetarian, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm a carnivore by nature,
know.
which again, it's the other extreme, which
Yeah.
is probably, you could argue, whatever. But like, it goes back to what works. And that's what we do here. We find out what
Yeah.
works for you.
Right. And like you said, the number one for me when I was losing weight, because I've lost 60 pounds with
Yep.
semaglutide and the L.I.F.T Lounge and mostly fat. But the number one thing that's motivating is success. You lose that first 15 pounds and you're like, give me more.
Yep.
I want more. So it really is addictive to have some success in this area.
And you do it, and you're doing it 3 times a week. I'm not asking you to come to 2 a day, 6 days a week, and
Yeah.
your joints don't hurt. And you're around a very intimate group of entrepreneurs that really want the same thing. Like, it's because it's private. You come in, we interview you, we make sure we fit, and then we build this out for you. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to go on an app and show up to class. That doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. And so it's really a private luxury longevity experience. And I think that is the next level of fitness. And you're seeing it now pop up in New York. Just opened. Andy Galpin is part of it, where all these PhDs are opening up a private $10,000 a month. We're not $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Is it really 10,000 in New York?
Yeah, there's a wait list.
Wow.
And so it's literally a social, they're like what we are, lounge. They call it a social club, but it has literally the best PhDs in the world. And you literally they just you're lab rats. And they just, yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, yep.
You're ahead of your time, Kai.
Well,
Ahead of
yeah,
the time.
but for the working people. There you go.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, for my mom. I always said, I want my mom to have this idea, this stuff.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You guys were lovely. Amazing questions.
Yeah.
Good to see you again. I'll
too.
see you soon.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. And anytime you want me
Appreciate
back,
it.
would
Yeah,
love to
we'll bring you
sure.
back for sure.
dig deep in.
Maybe
Next time
we'll
we'll
bring
have
your better
Jody.
half.
Yeah, she's way cooler than me.
We can talk about business
Yeah, she's
and
way
running business with your partner.
Yeah, and who's a
That would actually be good because they're
Yeah.
partners and business partners, so it's a whole thing.
and I'm a handful. So poor thing, she
Yeah.
deserves a
Beyond.
lot. Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's amazing.
She's amazing.
Hi, Jody.
Jody, we love you.
Jody, we love you.
L.I.F.T Knowledge would not be here without you.
100%.
Yeah, no doubt. These would just be ideas in my head rolling around.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Thanks, you guys. Love you, Delray.
And be sure to
Stay tuned.